On King 5, more real people, today at 4:30.
This is early today, December 3rd, 1982. Good morning, I'm Bryant Gumbel, along with Jane Pauley. These are the headlines on this Friday morning. The MX missile program has barely survived a crucial House vote. President Reagan flies to Colombia after 3 days in Brazil. 61-year-old Barney Clark is reported in critical but stable condition after receiving an artificial heart. And the San Francisco 49ers beat the Los Angeles Rams in Thursday night football action. Those are the headlines. Now with details, here's Jane.
And good morning. The administration's MX program has cleared a key congressional hurdle, but by the slimmest of margins. Karen Gray has the details.
The MX barely passed the test. It took some long-distance arm-twisting phone calls to lawmakers from Defense Secretary Weinberger and President Reagan himself. Even the most ardent supporters of the MX missile admit it has a long, tough road in front of it.
The MX is still in trouble, I think, and we still have a lot of work to do.
It was Joseph Adabo's amendment to delete the $988 million funding for production of the missile that went down to defeat by a tie vote of 26 to 26.
When you can beat the White House, the State Department, and the Pentagon, and all the other lobbying that you had, I think I had a good one when I came out with the 26-26 vote.
The deciding tie vote was cast by Alexander of Arkansas, who admitted he's against the MX, but feels it deserves a thorough airing in Congress.
What we saw today was a beginning of a debate on the question of, one, is the MX necessary and is it defensible?
President Reagan's successful lobbying efforts have forced a lame duck session floor fight on the controversial MX missile. That fight should come early next week. Karen Gray, NBC News at the Capitol.
President Reagan flies to Bogota, Colombia today after wrapping up his 3-day visit to Brazil. White House correspondent David Rush has more on the president's Latin American trip.
President Reagan wound up his Brazilian visits with a speech before Brazilian and U.S. business leaders in Sao Paulo. He asserted the United States is pulling out of its recession and expressed confidence Brazil will overcome its financial difficulties. Mr. Reagan departed from his written text to add a surprise element to the theme of U.S.-Brazilian cooperation.
Well, today I'd like to propose an idea to you. To have a Brazilian astronaut train with ours so that Brazil and the United States can one day participate in a shuttle launch together as partners in space.
Administration officials describe President Reagan's visit here as very warm, extremely productive, and worthwhile. But the rest of his trip may provide a study in contrast, for President Reagan travels next to Central America, where civil war and economic blight threaten U.S.-supported governments. David Rush, NBC News, with the president in Brazil.
Barney Clark, who received an artificial heart Thursday, continues to show steady improvement, but doctors at the University of Utah Medical Center say there are still a million things to worry about. Clark is listed in critical but stable condition. Doctors say the next milestone will come when he can be taken off the respirator, but they're not ready to predict when that might happen. Hospital officials say Clark awoke several hours after the operation and was able to move around in bed and nod his head in answering questions. Science correspondent Robert Bazell will be with us later on today with a live update on Clark's condition. A tornado smashed into a trailer park in St. Charles, Missouri Thursday. At least 33 people were injured. Hundreds have been left homeless. Tornadoes also touched down in southern Illinois and central Arkansas. At least 5 people have been killed. The government releases the November unemployment figures this morning. We have a report from economic correspondent Irving R. Levine.
The unemployment rate in November hit 10.8%. up from 10.4% the previous month. You could see it coming at the end of November when 4,840,000 Americans collected unemployment benefits, a record number. About 6 million additional Americans had used up benefits or did not qualify. Figures like these led the Joint Economic Committee of Congress to forecast that the unemployment rate would rise from 10.4% in October to 10.5% in November. It actually hit 10.8%. which helps explain why the new 5-cent a gallon tax on gasoline is moving so quickly through the Congress. It is supposed to create 320,000 new jobs. Perhaps just a drop in the bucket, but it is intended to show that Congress and the administration are trying to do something about unemployment. Irving R. Levine, NBC News at the Labor Department.
Millions of people in New Jersey have been buying lottery tickets this week, hoping to cash in on a record jackpot. Norma Quarles has a report.
In New Jersey, gambling fever is no longer confined to Atlantic City. People have been lining up all over the state to buy lottery tickets. That's because New Jersey's lottery jackpot had risen to an all-time nationwide high of more than $10 million. The jackpot's been growing because no one has won it for the past 5 weeks, and because more than 5 million tickets were sold this week. Everyone knows what he'd do if he became a multi-millionaire.
Gonna make coat and ski like North.
Oh, my dreams come true then.
Move from New Jersey.
Millions must have been watching New Jersey's public television station last night as the 6 winning numbers were drawn.
And there you have it, tonight's winning Pick 6 lotto numbers. 18, 25, 05, 17, 12, and 03.
One person or many people may have selected the right numbers. If there's one winner, that person will get more than $500,000 a year for the next 20 years. We should know if there's a winner later today. Norma Quarles, NBC News.
And we'll be back in a moment to get the weather report from Dr. Frank Field. A comment from early today's business reporter, Alan Abelson, on congressional action to limit the authority of the Federal Trade Commission. And the morning line on Early Today after these messages.
I'm George Burns. This is my cigar. These are beautiful girls. And this is my new Polynex Pure Air 99. Works faster. Great for larger rooms. Smoke grabber 6-stage filter with activated charcoal. Remove smoke, dust, pollen, even bad jokes. Smoke enters here, clean air comes out here. Now I'm leaving these girls and taking out my Pure Air 99. At my age, this is more fun. Goodbye, girls. From Polynex.
It began in 1908, and year after year for over 70 straight years, the Hoover Upright has been America's favorite vacuum cleaner because Hoover keeps making it better. Our newest gives you almost 50% more carpet cleaning effectiveness than one you could buy just a few years back. America's favorite vacuum cleaner keeps getting better and better. That's why America keeps trusting Hoover to take good care of its homes.
From Radio Shack's world of the TRS-80 comes the microcomputer business system.
Meet the business partner who works as hard as you do. The TRS-80 microcomputer business system. It handles the accounting, payroll, inventory, even word processing. The TRS-80 is expandable and requires no formal training.
Now that's a partner. TRS-80 business systems from 1849, only from Radio Shack and Radio Shack Computer Centers, the computer experts.
Willard Scott has this Friday off, and joining us this morning on Early Today, Dr. Frank Field. Good morning, Doc.
Thank you, Brian. And we saw those pictures of the tornado damage just a few minutes ago. It's all part of a long weather system from the Great Lakes down to the Gulf. As the cooler air moves to the east, it is setting off rain, severe thunderstorms, flash flooding, and the possibility again today of some tornadoes. Quite a variety of weather across the country. First, let's take a look at some of the commuter weather around the country. If you're doing any traveling today, we have for Boston 56 degrees and becoming sunny. New York 62 and sunshine. For Washington 64 degrees and partly sunny. For Miami 81 degrees, some great weather down there. Chicago 66 degrees, the cold front just pushing through. Denver 51 sunny and cool. Seattle 53 rain. For Los Angeles, 67 degrees, a lovely day, and much of the Western Plains states will enjoy a clearing trend. This is a rather cool air system that's heading eastward. You can see a startling contrast between the east and the center of the nation. A drop of about 20 degrees across the front. As the cool air barrels in, it sets off severe weather, and that's what we expect today, from rain around the Great Lakes, severe thunderstorms through the Ohio Valley, some flash flooding down over the lower Mississippi Valley. In the east, some record-breaking temperatures once again expected today. We're looking for readings today to get well up into the 60s, 70s over the southeast, along with some scattered thunderstorms. Now let's take a look at some of the weather in your local areas.
For western Washington, occasional rain, heavy at times today and tonight, decreasing showers and a little cooler Saturday. The highs today in the upper 40s to mid-50s, the lows tonight in the upper 30s to mid-40s.
And for most of the folks in the east, another lovely and warm, unusual day. Brian?
Thanks, Doc. Take a check on business for this Friday morning. The government says October was a bad month for the nation's factories. The Commerce Department says new orders dropped almost 4% from September to the lowest level in more than 2 years. Stock prices were up slightly Thursday in moderate trading. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up more than 2 points to close out at 1,033.11. Coffee prices could be headed up this winter. Over the next few months, U.S. roasters are expected to boost wholesale prices 10 to 15 cents a pound. Industry observers attribute the increase, at least in part, to the frost that wiped out almost half of Brazil's coffee crop. In London, dealers have set the price of gold at $443.25 an ounce. That is down from yesterday's open. The Federal Trade Commission looks out for consumer rights and interests, but the FTC received a setback this week when the House voted to exempt medical and all other state licensed professionals from its jurisdiction. Early today's business reporter Alan Abelson, editor of Barron's, joins us now with some thoughts on this effect. First of all, why is there dissatisfaction with this relationship?
Well, it's been going on for a long time, actually. The FTC is a very old agency. It goes back to 1914, and it was born when there was a lot of concern about trusts and illegal business combinations and the like. Over the years, you know, it's made a lot of enemies, and it's made some silly decisions. And the enemies seem to have grown, and the silly decisions never go away. I mean, one of the things, for instance, it did, it enraged Congress by having the temerity to suggest that used car dealers tell people what was wrong with the car they were going to buy. Now, can you think of anything worse than that?
I can't imagine anything like that.
So when Congress decided they couldn't do that, what took the next step, decided it would ask undertakers in that case to give you an honest shake on coffins and the like. And that just about blew it. So Congress decided they'd have a legislative veto over everything the agency proposed.
So was this a result of some heavy lobbying, particularly by the American Medical Association?
I think the fact that they had something like $400,000 or $500,000 contributed to the last campaign may have done some good, actually. The other thing is, I think people mistake doctors. It wasn't in their interest they were campaigning. The fact is, they were worried about beauticians. You see, this antitrust exemption that the House voted includes all kinds of professionals, and beauticians particularly.
Okay, undertakers, doctors, beauticians,
that's
who else?
Right. Well, there's, shall I say it in the air, lawyers.
Oh, okay. What happens to the consumer now?
The poor consumer. Well, nobody really cares about the consumer very much, and I would think that what'll happen to the consumer is he'll probably take it in the pocketbook a little bit.
What else is new, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Alan. Take a check of the morning line now. Country singer Marty Robbins is listed in critical but stable condition at a Nashville hospital after undergoing heart surgery. Doctors say Robbins suffered a major heart attack Thursday and underwent a quadruple bypass operation. Well, in addition to everything else, the people guarding President Reagan during his visit to Brazil have been on the lookout for Brazil's kissing bandit. The elusive bandit has a reputation for crashing celebrity receptions and kissing VIPs. Among the bandit's recent victims, Pope Paul and Frank Sinatra. Surprised he's still alive. Police in the town of Cedarburg, Wisconsin won't have to leave their loved ones on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Town fathers have granted permission for family members and loved ones to ride along in the patrol cars while the officers are on duty. Back in just a moment to update the news of the morning, but first, this is Early Today on NBC.
Uh-oh. Are J.R. and Sue Ellen really fit to be tied? There's an answer, but only for people who buy people. Read how Larry Hagman behaves on the set, how he spends his fortune, what he's furious about. And if it's in People, you know it's true. Speaking of marriage, is Playboy's Hugh Hefner hearing bells? And who's making the Who more millions? Plus Dee Wallace, E.T.'s mom. So pick up this week's People for yourself, for your family. And follow J.R. and Sue Ellen for better and for worse.
Have a salami list, sir.
The Oberto wine salami, please.
An excellent choice, sir. Oberto is freshly made in Washington. The only salami with an airtight package, so it won't dry out on the shelf. Note the bouquet of secret family spices, the delicate wine aroma, and the taste.
Superb, and worth the extra.
Oh, boy, Oberto. Always worth it.
update for this 3rd of December. The administration's MX missile program has survived a crucial test vote in the House. A vote in the House Appropriations Committee to kill the program ended in a tie, so the program is still alive. More fireworks are expected next Tuesday when the full House debates the controversial dense pack basing system. In a rare display of bipartisan effort, the House Ways and Means Committee has approved a measure to increase the tax on gasoline by 5 cents a gallon. Most of the money would be used to repair the nation's highways and bridges. The rest would go to improve mass transit. The highway program alone could create more than 300,000 jobs. A series of 8 tornadoes ripped through central Arkansas Thursday. Officials say at least 3 people were killed and 36 others hospitalized. The twisters damaged or destroyed more than 200 buildings. Tornadoes also touched down in Missouri and Illinois. Officials say a tornado just about wiped out New Baden, Illinois, a town of about 2,000. A Kansas man has become the first to plead guilty to violating draft registration laws. We have a report from Ron Howard of KNSW-TV Wichita.
21-year-old Kendall Workentine appeared in federal court ready to face the consequences for refusing to register for the draft. The Mennonite college student told the judge he has no choice but to plead guilty because he is truly opposed to violence or resistance of any kind. Said Workentine that includes resisting in court. Afterwards, Workentine met briefly with reporters to explain his decision.
I know that I'm legally guilty of not registering, but morally I feel I am innocent. When non-registration is based on loyalty to God, I do not believe that it is wrong. To fight the government's prosecution would only be to cast doubt on my claim to be non-resistant.
Workentine becomes the first draft resister in the country to enter a plea of guilty. Because he's 21 years old, he's eligible for the Youth Corrections Act, which means he could be sentenced to up to 6 years of supervision. That leaves the door open for possible alternative service instead of imprisonment. From Wichita, Kansas, Ron Howard for NBC News.
And negotiations aimed at saving the Boston Herald-American have continued through the night. Publisher Rupert Murdoch has offered to buy that Hearst paper, but he is demanding a 30% reduction in union personnel. If no agreement is reached, today's edition of the Boston Herald-American will be its last.
Now for a look at what's coming up in the week ahead. The 6th Annual Conference on Caribbean Trade, Investment, and Development convenes Tuesday in Miami. Delegates will discuss President Reagan's Caribbean Basin Initiative. Wednesday, a 4-man U.S. team will visit Hanoi to talk about Americans still missing after the Vietnam War. Also on Wednesday, the defense resumes in the trial of Teamsters President Roy Williams. The case could go to the jury by week's end. On Saturday, the movie E.T. premieres in London at a Royal Command performance. And now for a look at the week ahead in Washington, here's David Hazinski.
Several major issues will involve Congress next week. First, a bill that includes the much-debated MX missile system is expected to be brought up on the House floor. The president has been pushing for his dense pack MX plan, but some members of Congress say it won't be effective, and it's just too expensive now in a time of huge budget deficits. Another controversial issue, Social Security, is also on the agenda next week. The National Commission on Social Security Reform will hold its last meeting on Friday in the hope of recommending some specific corrective measures to Congress. President Reagan, back from his Latin America trip, is scheduled to meet with the president of Pakistan here in Washington on Monday in an effort to warm up relations with that country. On the same day, Secretary of State George Shultz leaves on a 2-week tour of Europe, during which he'll attend a NATO foreign ministers meeting in Brussels. Also on Monday, former presidential candidate John Anderson will take his complaint that independents are treated differently from major party candidates in Ohio to the United States Supreme Court. David Hazinski, NBC News, Washington.
And coming up in just a moment, the latest sports news and a weather update on Early Today after these messages.
Honey, you brought home the bowling trophy.
Yeah, and a nagging backache.
Hold on, I'll get the Doan's pills.
Good advice. Doan's pills for occasional nagging backache pain due to simple overexertion, stress, or strain. Taken as directed, this time-proven analgesic brings relief of minor backache pain for hours.
Doan's pills make me feel like I do when I bowl a strike. Relieved.
Time-proven Doan's pills help you get the better of simple backache pain.
Listen up, trainee. Learn from day one that Hanes men's and boys' underwear has to pass the test before it's called Hanes.
Yes, Inspector 12.
We test waistbands.
Now is it Hanes?
Not yet. We test the 100% cotton fabric.
Well, now is it Hanes?
That's just the beginning, kid.
Every Hanes t-shirt and brief has to pass 11 quality tests. And Inspector 12.
They don't say Hanes until I say they say Hanes.
Buy 2 3-packs and get a $3 refund on all Hanes underwear.
Some special Christmas gifts from Radio Shack.
You like that mouse, huh? When my daughter saw the Petable Portables at Radio Shack, she fell in love with them. They're cuddly animals with a radio inside. There's a lovable cat, a Pekingese, a raccoon, and a white terrier, a country mouse, and a chow dog. A special gift for a very special little girl.
The Petable Portable Radios, $12.95 to $15.95. Only at Radio Shack, your Christmas electronics store.
Look at Friday morning sports. Joe Montana passed for 305 yards to lead the San Francisco 49ers to a come-from-behind 30-24 victory over the Los Angeles Rams. Montana passed for 2 touchdowns and directed a winning touchdown drive that came late in the 4th quarter. Young man out of Notre Dame connected with Bill Ring to set up the winning score, this one down to the 5-yard line. And then moments later, it was Jeff Moore that got the call, number 25, punched it into the end zone. This one came Retzray Malavasi, Rams coach on the sidelines. He's got his problems. His club now down to 1-4. Moments later, Moore punched in for his 3rd touchdown of the game. The final again, San Francisco 30, Los Angeles 24. The 49ers are now 2-3. 2 WBC championship fights in the New Orleans Superdome tonight. Wilfred Benitez defends his super welterweight crown against Thomas Hitman Hearns, and bantamweight king Lupe Pintor moves up a division to challenge Wilfredo Gomez for his super bantamweight title. That's at 122 pounds. College basketball's 6th-ranked UCLA beat DePaul 73-70 in overtime to snap the Blue Demons' home court winning streak at 27. In college football this weekend, Arkansas's at Texas, Florida at Florida State, and the Army-Navy game will be played in Philadelphia. And one baseball item, a New York newspaper is reporting that Ken Moffitt, the federal mediator in the 1981 baseball strike, has been chosen to succeed Marvin Miller as executive director of the Baseball Players Association on his retirement. That's set for next year. Now with a weather update for early today, Dr. Frank Field. Doc?
Well, Brian, we're keeping an eye on several spots around the country, and here is our weather update. We have some severe thunder showers, a possibility of flash flooding from East Texas and the Gulf states northward through the Tennessee and Ohio Valley. Some morning fog in the Carolinas through the mid-Atlantic into southern New England. There's some stormy weather over the Pacific Northwest with gale warnings along coastal northern California, Oregon, and Washington. And there's a traveler's advisory up in the Cascades, about 6 inches of snow expected there. Now here's Jane.
And looking ahead at what's coming up later at 7:15, live from Bogota, an interview with the President of Colombia. We'll get the latest from Utah as well on the condition of Barney Clark, plus Pam Dauber, plus something called nuclear magnetic resonance replacing the CAT scan.
Could make it obsolete. It's a busy Friday ahead on today, 7 o'clock after a station break.
On NBC Nightly News, a look at the new unemployment figures. Is there new hope for 1983 or more bad news for the nation's jobless? A full report tonight.
This week on King 5 magazine,
I didn't want to let anyone down.
we'll see artists fighting for survival.
Sugar really is much more of a drug than a food.
We'll give you some food for thought.
It happens, I think, almost to every marriage when there's long periods of separation and loneliness.
And through a look at marriage singular, we'll explore some fundamentals of marriage in general. Saturday night at 7 on King 5 magazine.
On King 5, the People's Court
Magazine.
Hey, Mike Leonard tells of a classic story with a happy ending.
She is the classic musician. A child prodigy at 6, Emma Endres Counts has filled her life with recitals, lectures, and major concert performances all over the world. She plays now to the emptiness of a Chicago rehearsal hall. Yet her music drifts beyond these walls to an unlikely audience. To 16-year-old Vernon Odom in a South Side neighborhood. To 17-year-old Donna Matthews in a North Side high school. And to 158 others who gather each week to answer these notes. Music, says Emma Counts, soothes sadness and encourages young people to a better life. And for that better life, Emma Counts offers these weekly lessons for free.
It's the most exhilarating dimension to my career. Many of these youngsters come from what I call disheveled homes, and they manage to eke out a certain privacy. And their music study here enlarges that world and strengthens that privacy, so they're never alone. And I think loneliness and alienation is also one of the causes for violence.
The idea of giving free music lessons to gifted students has become now a full-fledged program called Merit, complete with a staff of teachers, the use of a local university's facilities, and a lesson plan as sociological as it is musical.
I've seen kids that have come in with no ambition, who all of a sudden are turned on to something, and they go on to college. Their grades in school improve. Their whole attitude toward themselves changes.
It gets out like problems that I might be going through, and, and then like I might sit down and practice and then just forget about the problems. And I feel a little better afterwards.
And when we get to Tchaikovsky, you'll see how extended his are. But
to a young adult, a Saturday afternoon away from school is usually a treasured time. For these young people, the treasure is to be discovered by following a musical path led by a woman too spirited to retire.
It's a nice touch. As it was going on, Jane and I were talking a little bit about people we've known who play instruments and wondering whether or not their personalities generally break down along, with some degree of consistency, along instrumental lines. In other words, do people who play reed instruments all tend to be the same kind of people, drummers the same?
Well, I think partially it depends on what kind of group you're playing with. If you're playing with a rock and roll band or a dance band or a symphony orchestra or a chamber music or whatever, that probably has more to do with what instrument you're holding in your hand.
Yeah, might well be, but maybe there's something also to the amount of discipline it takes and to the amount of commitment it takes in terms of your personality to play that particular instrument. Not playing an instrument, I wouldn't know.
You didn't go around a flutophone?
No. Not this kid, no. Tone deaf. Today, follow 7 o'clock after a station break.
In 1942, 23,000 Americans went to hell. Only 9,000 made it back. An incredible story of human survival. Sunday.
At Direct Buying Service, we're small on the outside, but huge on the inside. Hi, I'm Ken Walbaum, and it takes all this room just to handle all the merchandise that we carry at Direct Buying Service. Appliances, stereos, sporting goods, toys, watches, luggage. You name it, we get it. All name brand merchandise at fabulous discounts. As a TV special, we have this RCA 19-inch XL 100 colored television with automatic fine-tuning and extended life picture tube for only $349. We're Direct Buying Service in downtown Seattle, in business over 30 years.
On King 5, Tic-Tac-Doe, this evening at 7:30. From Seattle, from the King Northwest Network, from the nation's capital, from News Center 5, Don Matson.
Good morning. It's Friday, December 3rd. To hear the top news stories, in Salt Lake City, Barney Clark, the world's first artificial heart recipient, reported doing very well. We'll get the latest from Aaron Brown in Salt Lake in just a couple of minutes. The outgoing director of Whoops, Bob Ferguson, says the next 6 months will determine whether the supply system goes broke or moves ahead to finish at least 3 nuclear power plants. Tornadoes that ripped through Illinois and Arkansas overnight killed at least 6 people and injured as many as 25. Details coming up shortly, but first we're going to check the forecast, and quite a forecast we have this morning. Tidal flood warnings. Water will be 1.5 feet above the normal high tide at 7:15, which will cause some flooding. Rain chance 100%. Warm, though. Highs in the mid-50s. Windy, southerlies 15 to 30 miles per hour, gusty at times. Tonight, 90% chance of rain. Lows in the lower 40s. Tomorrow, decreasing showers, highs near 50. Right now, light rain in the area, 56 degrees, wind from the south at 22, gusting up to 34, barometer 29.54 and rising. The relative humidity is 83%. Now let's see how things are going for commuters this morning. Here's Sarah Johnson.
There's lots of standing water on the roadway. Visibility is limited. The rain is falling hard, and with temperatures in the 60s, it's a super tropical day here in Seattle. There was a temporarily blocked roadway at 2nd Avenue South in Rainier. The northbound lanes of Rainier blocked there for some time during a fire. They have been reopened to traffic. Sarah Johnson, News King, Sky Twin Traffic.
61-year-old Des Moines dentist Barney Clark is in critical but improving condition this morning, a little more than 24 hours after an artificial heart was implanted in his chest. Aaron Brown's been in Salt Lake watching Clark's progress, and we're going to join him now for an update on his condition. Good morning, Aaron. What's happening?
Good morning, Don. We just talked to the hospital. Dr. Clark is described this morning as doing well. He is still listed in critical condition, as I believe you indicated. That is as expected. Indeed, there is very little that the hospital has to tell us this morning that was not anticipated. He had a fitful night. They describe it as having slept on and off, tended to wake up when the nursing staff came in to work in the area. It's sort of like the waking you up to give you a sleeping pill kind of problem that people in the hospital are familiar with. His complaints are very typical of people who have just undergone major surgery. He continues to be troubled by a sore throat. There is a tube down his throat, the respirator tube. It's about the size of your finger going around, and it's uncomfortable. He also is very thirsty. Anyone who has had major surgery knows that feeling. You come out of surgery thirsty, and they won't let you have anything to drink. And indeed, Dr. Clark has not had anything to eat or drink. He is still on an IV. His surgeon, Dr. DeFries, will be in this morning to take a look at him. The most encouraging news here is that there are no signs of infection, no sign of pneumonia. He continues to be responsive, though responsive should not be interpreted as overly communicative. He does respond in hand pressure, that sort of thing, and can indicate a couple of things, but it's really, he is still not terribly alert, still under sedation quite heavily. That is his condition this morning, and no one expects it to change a great deal today. They are very encouraged at the medical center in Salt Lake, and they continue to watch him very closely.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Aaron, and we'll be hearing from you as you get back to Seattle and get a complete report on exactly what's happened down there. Thank you.
Don. Good morning.
Okay, so the vigil for Barney Clark goes on in Utah and here in the Puget Sound area. Julie Blacklow visited with Clark's son, Gary, as he waited for more news about his father.
But waiting for
Barney Clark's son, Gary, is not a seeker of publicity, nor is his wife, Sue. 5-year-old David welcomes the lights and the cameras most of all, but Barney Clark became famous overnight, something his family here never really expected.
Absolutely no idea in the world that it would cause this much of a commotion. I think it would be his contribution to mankind that he can leave for them, whether it is successful or not. And, you know, I mean, there was really no other choice. You can die the way he was, or you can die by taking a chance. And I think he made a very wise decision.
It's just hard to say what we're feeling every time. My sister-in-law and I would be talking during the day and stuff and comparing what each of us heard. And then we'd all get upset and just hope for the best.
What would you say to him tonight if he was listening to this?
I love you, Father.
Please get well. Just like me. Yeah, just like you.
In Bothell, I'm Julie Blacklow, King 5 News.
It's likely that Northwest Utilities won't end up paying the whole bill for the 2 terminated Whoops nuclear power plants. Whoops Managing Director Bob Ferguson says the utilities may default on their debt. He says other plans to pay for the plants are being considered. Charlotte Rayner reports.
Whoops plants 4 and 5 were terminated a year ago because they were hopelessly behind schedule and over their budgets. Termination left 88 sponsoring utilities with a $7 billion debt. They've been in court the past year trying to find a way out of their contracts. The managing director of Whoops told reporters he thought it was probable the utilities would default on their debt early next year. Ferguson said he is working on a plan to sell plants 4 and 5. Talk of default worries Governor Spellman.
Very frankly, that would be very traumatic to every citizen and every business, and it would, in addition to that, in my opinion, have a devastating effect upon the cities and the counties and each PUD. They would not be able to get credit. Their credit would be terribly impaired if they go into default on this.
Spellman said he'll use the power of his office to prevent default, but he refused to elaborate. In Olympia, this is Charlotte Rayner, King 5 News.
University of Washington programs that fell to the budget cutters' axe probably won't make a comeback, even if the university has some of its budget restored by the state. University President William Gerberding made that announcement at a meeting with faculty members. He says any money the school recovers will be used to support other programs. Some faculty members protested the university's plan to cut 3 departments and 24 degree programs. They said those cuts affect women faculty and students. We'll be back with more news right after this.
Set a new news button on your car radio. Set it at 1090 on AM. King AM is now News King 1090. All news, all the time.
The People's Store's biggest sale of the year is Saturday, Bell Ringer Day. Doors open at 8 a.m. with the lowest prices of the year. Young Men's Britannia shirts, $9.88. Save up to 30% on Cuisinart food processors. The DLC 10E, just $88.88. Pacific Trail jackets up to 50% off. Samsonite Silhouette 2 luggage up to 50% off. Charbroil gas grills, $188.88. Ladies Levi blouses and slacks, $9.88. See your local newspaper for all this and more during Bell Ringer Day. Saturday, December 5th only. Doors open at 8 a.m. at all People's Stores.
Paging Dr. David. Paging Dr. David.
This morning, our young doctor's a bit ill-natured because he's wearing one of those saggy diapers that leak. Well, Doc, examine Huggies. Form-fitting Huggies disposable diapers are thick and absorbent with soft, gentle elastic to help stop leaking. So Huggies Hug to help keep babies dry and comfortable. Kleenex Huggies diapers. They help keep babies dry. And that's just what the doctor ordered. Right, Doc?
Hey, that machine measured my breath.
Oh, that poor machine.
Bad breath. The problem hasn't changed. Today, one mouthwash has. New Livoris, Formula Z. New because it's concentrated. Powerful because it has Santrate, the ingredient that goes beyond just masking bad breath to actually neutralize it. Livoris, Formula Z. A new dimension in breath protection.
Great taste. Great mouthwash.
20 minutes, about 45 seconds before 7 o'clock. 100% chance of rain today. Fairly warm, though, high in the mid-50s. President Reagan's wrapping up his Latin American trip today with a stop in Costa Rica. The president's breathing a little easier now that his MX missile plan has passed its first major hurdle. We have a report from the Cable News Network.
Congressman Joseph Adabo, chairman of the Defense Appropriations Subcommittee, tried to cut almost $1 billion from the 1983 defense budget, money earmarked to build the first 5 of 100 MX missiles. Adabo argues that other weapons systems already underway could do the same job as the MX. But by a vote of 26 to 26, the House Appropriations Committee failed to pass Adabo's amendment, leaving in the money for MX, at least for now. The $231 billion defense package also includes money for the B-1 bomber and 2 nuclear aircraft carriers. Congressman Jack Edwards, a key supporter of the MX, says the lobbying done by President Reagan made the difference. The president called members of the committee and told them he needs the MX as a bargaining chip in arms control talks with the Soviets.
If we drop the MX now, if we don't do the job that we need to do,
then start talks may continue, but I think they'll go forward in a rather lackadaisical way.
But Edwards admits the MX could be in trouble when the defense budget is taken up by the full House next week.
There's some bad economic news this morning. The government reports that unemployment in the United States has reached a new post-depression high of 10.8%. Latest Labor Department figures show that at least 12 million Americans are out of work. Weather's making news this morning. Tornadoes ripped through the Midwest, killing 6 people and injuring dozens of others. The damage was heaviest in Illinois and Arkansas. Ron Bloom reports.
A rampaging storm that spawned a killer tornado ripped into the Little Rock area shortly before 3 p.m. 3 persons were killed, over 2 dozen injured, over 200 homes heavily damaged or destroyed. First hit was this trailer park near Alexander, where 1 man was crushed under his trailer.
Of course, it was just a tremendous gray cloud. As it was hitting, you could just see stuff look like it's exploding and things flying to the right, left, just all over.
Another fatality minutes later on the interstate when the tornado blew a piece of metal into this car. For another nearby resident, a near miss.
Wind just picked everything up, threw it around, slid the cars around.
The National Weather Service called this the work of one tornado, a storm that continued its destructive path into North Arkansas. For NBC News, Ron Blom in Little Rock.
Nothing like that around here, but get out your galoshes. Looks like more rain's on the way. We'll have the forecast right after this.
The People's Store's biggest sale of the year is Saturday, Bell Ringer Day. Doors open at 8 a.m. with the lowest prices of the year. A special group of men's Levi jeans, just $9.88. Save up to 50% on the entire stock of sheets featuring Pierre Cardin sheets, twin size, $4.88. Cozy room warmers, just $9.88. Selected Playtex bras, $5.88. Save up to 50% on Airway Encore 2 luggage and ladies Levi slacks and blouses, $9.88. See your local newspaper for all this and more during Bell Ringer Day, Saturday, December 5th only. Doors open at 8 a.m. at all People's Stores.
I count on my Melita coffee maker for great coffee every morning.
Great coffee.
The same thing's true when my friends are over. Great coffee. And it's even more important for those special dinners. For consistently great coffee, I count on Melita. Melita's cone-shaped filter concentrates the ground, so all the flavor comes through every time.
Great coffee, honey.
Melita coffee makers and coffee filters for consistently great coffee.
Thanks, Melita. We did it again. Like hopes and dreams and caring, like love and joy and sharing. Boxes is a part of all things beautiful.
Foxes, Rainier Square, and in the Westin Hotel.
From the 106 merchants of SeaTac Mall, the wonder of the Peppermint Snow Kingdom. This is the fantasy and the magic of the holidays at SeaTac Mall. Enjoy a visit with Santa and see the Peppermint Snow Kingdom at SeaTac Mall. Open evenings till 9:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday, Sunday till 6. Merry Christmas from SeaTac Mall, exit 143 off Interstate 5 in Federal Way.
It's 16 minutes before 7 o'clock in the King 5 Morning News. Time to check the weather. And our unsettled weather continues statewide. One of a series of weather disturbances strung out well into the Pacific has been moving across our state during the night. The satellite photo is our last daytime view of our area of the world. We're not getting the overnight infrared photos anymore. Low pressure is bringing further warming with the moist southwesterly flow. This unsettled weather regime will continue to affect most of the state through the weekend. There should be a little bit less rain and wind. Mountain cross-country skiers and climbers should know the warm, wet weather is increasing the avalanche hazard. Danger is greatest above 4,000 to 5,000 feet. Mountain forecast calls for rain heavy at times, decreasing tomorrow's snow level near 8,000 feet, which doesn't bode well for our ski areas. Down to 5,000 tonight, though 3,000 tomorrow, and we'll have the ski report shortly before 7 o'clock. Afternoon past temperatures in the 40s, winds westerly 15 to 30 with higher gusts. Our road report is different. On Snoqualmie Pass, water is standing over the road in places. Gusty winds on the west side of the summit. Snow tires are required on Stevens, Blewett, White, Sherman, and Satis passes. Also the road to Mount Baker. North Cascade, Chinook, Cayuse passes closed. Gale warnings are in effect for the coast and the Strait of Juan de Fuca. Small craft advisories are in effect for the inland waters. Our Seattle forecast contains a tidal flood warning this morning. High tide at 7:15, a foot and a half above the tide tables. Same warning applies for the coast and the strait. Rain chance today, 100%. Highs in the mid-50s. Southerly winds, 15 to 30 miles per hour and gusty. Tonight, 90% chance of rain, lows in the lower 40s. Tomorrow, decreasing showers, highs near 50 degrees. Extended forecast Sunday through Tuesday. Guess what? Rain, mainly Sunday and Monday. Highs in the upper 40s to low 50s. Lows in the upper 30s to mid 40s. 56 degrees right now, cloudy, rain. Relative humidity is 29.54, or relative humidity is 83%, barometer is 29.54 and rising. Wind from the south at 22, gusting up to 34 miles per hour. And that's our weather, a lot of it this morning. We'll take a look at last night's football game when we come back.
The People Store's biggest sale of the year is Saturday, Bell Ringer Day. Doors open at 8 a.m. with the lowest prices of the year. The entire stock of Bally bras sale priced at $9.88. Famous name men's and ladies' watches just $49.88. Men's Puritan sweaters save up to 40%. Juniors Normandy Rose jeans $19.88. Airway Oshkosh luggage up to 60% off. Ladies Levi blouses and slacks $9.88. See your local newspaper for all this and more during Bell Ringer Day, Saturday, December 5th only. Doors open at 8 a.m. at all People Stores.
Is there justice for women who kill to save their own lives? With a plea of self-defense for women who have been raped or battered and then kill their assailant will be our subject on Northwest Today this Friday. Join us, won't you, right here on King 5.
Nothing like an Egg McMuffin puts breakfast right in your hand. Take it to go or eat it nice and slow. It's the taste that's loved all over the land. With Canadian-style bacon, fresh egg and cheese.
Have an Egg McMuffin, please.
Nothing like an Egg McMuffin, fresh and hot right in your hand. You deserve a break today at McDonald's.
In any field, there's only one number one. In the field of alcoholism treatment, it's Care Unit. Care Unit has treated so many alcoholics so successfully that it has become the largest private provider of alcoholism treatment in the country. When it's something as important as a person's life, why not call Care Unit and benefit from all the experience that has made Care Unit number one?
It's about 12 minutes before 7 o'clock, sports time. The San Francisco 49ers made a good showing in their game with Los Angeles last night. Here's Don Poyer with a look at the play.
Good morning, everybody. Wasn't that bad a ball game last night on TV, considering both were 1-3 going in. San Francisco, the 49ers held on to beat the Rams 30-24 and keep some playoff hopes alive anyway. San Francisco had a 20-10 halftime lead when Joe Montana found former Seahawk Jeff Moore when the Rams blitzed. Jeff then scampered the remaining 24 yards for the score, 20-10 at half. After a 49er field goal, L.A. temporarily took the lead when Wendell Tyler ran off left tackle and simply fought his way into the end zone. A lovely run, making it 24-23 L.A. fourth quarter. Then the 49ers went back to work when Moore went inside to score the game winner. The San Francisco defense then held on for the remainder of the game. 30-24 the final. The 49ers are now 2-3. Well, come up tomorrow, there will be a lot of very nervous, excited people regarding the King Bowl, all the high school state championship games, and those are just the fans. As for the players, it's crunch time. One high school going for the state AA football title is undefeated Franklin Pierce. They're 12-0, and they'll meet Arlington Saturday night. Coaches talk about takeaways in football. Franklin Pierce has earned their share, intercepting 29 passes, recovering 23 fumbles, and blocking 7 punts. Defensive back Jeff Skoda says their turnovers haven't been gifts.
I think we're forcing them. There's a lot of hard hitting out there. Our team really hits. It's the hardest hitting team I've ever been on. A lot of people get hit and they stay on the ground for a minute and just shake their head and get back up. Do it again.
Okay, let's go left side over. Let's go to the left side.
Franklin Pierce head coach Mike Roberts has turned the program into a very good one. And I asked Mike if 3 or 4 years back he could see this team coming on, or has it been a surprise?
Oh, a surprise in the sense that, maybe 4 years ago they were quite a ways away from having a character they have now. But talent-wise, the talent's been there, and it's just been growing, but the maturity, has brought it along, I think.
And in Spangle today, the Liberty Lancers left for the King Bowl from the east side of the state. They'll play Mossy Rock for the B11 championship, game time 12:30 Saturday. Liberty is 9-2 this year, and Saturday's game will seem a long way from Spangle. What a thrill for the kids. Beginning this morning at 9 o'clock, the Husky swim team will host the 35th annual Husky Invitational for both men and women. 30 teams will compete from colleges and universities around the Northwest. The meet will run through Sunday. Very briefly this morning, UCLA held on to defeat DePaul in college basketball 73-70 in overtime. And the WBC welterweight, super welterweight fight tonight will be a good one. It'll be Wilfredo Benitez against Thomas Hearn, 6 o'clock tonight at the Paramount closed circuit. That's the only place you can see it. I'm Don Poyer.
Some Christmas traditions are part of this weekend's entertainment. Greg Palmer has details when we come back.
This Christmas, give an unusual and thoughtful gift to someone you love, even if that someone is you. Come into the optical department at Sears and save $20 on a complete pair of single-vision eyeglasses, or $25 on bifocal eyeglasses. Soft contact lenses are just $59. For that unusual and thoughtful gift, the optical departments at Sears.
You can trust us, you know that we care. The optical department at Sears.
When I smoke cigars at home, my friends never object, because I've got a Polynex Pure Air 99 smoke grabber 6-stage filter with activated charcoal. It removes smoke, pollen, and dust, everything but your relatives. Smoke goes in here, clean air comes out here. And its extra-large filter takes out 99% of ragweed pollen. These are my friends. They're crazy about my Pure Air 99 from Polynex.
Great holiday gift. $4 rebate at Fred Meyer.
Jeffco, where quality becomes affordable. Jeffco.
Turn to us for the names you can depend on, like Canon. Take Canon's AE1 program, the Canon Intelligent 35mm that adjusts automatically to the light for trouble-free, beautiful Canon shots every time. With a Canon 50mm lens, the Canon AE1 program is on sale, $249.94.
Jeffco.
On KJR, you hear the greatest hits from the 60s, 70s, and of course the 80s. Sheena Easton has her big hits, but Chicago gave us 210 to choose from. And the Beatles, 451. Which is why every week the KJR playlist is 2,000 songs. So if you listen a lot, listen to KJR. It's a lot to listen to.
About 7 minutes before 7 o'clock. Christmas entertainment is starting on Seattle area stages this weekend. Here's Greg Palmer with a look at what's happening.
Good morning, and for a weekend with not a single new movie, at least not one I know about, it's still pretty busy. On stage opening tonight at Seattle's ACT Theater is their traditional holiday production of A Christmas Carol, which will look like this one from a few years ago, except different actors will play some parts, but John Gilbert will be back as Scrooge after his triumphant appearance in the Children of a Lesser God commercial. Christmas Carol will run through the end of the month. This is the last year with this set and these costumes, I'm told. Also on stage, sort of, tonight, the Intimon support group sponsors a performance of the theater's annual fundraising Holiday Sampler. This year featuring Zuanne Leroy, star of the Sugar Babies commercial, and Michael Morgan Dunn, 7:30 or 9 tonight, 405 West Highland Drive on Queen Anne Hill. Near the site of my mother's birth, I believe. Musically, the Sony Ventorum, no, that's not a new Japanese radio, the Sony Ventorum Wind Quintet performs at 8 in Meany Theater, and in galleries, works like this by Janet Laurel open at the Greenwood, and tomorrow the Stillwater Gallery has ceramics like this by Joan Johnson. Tomorrow night at 8 in the Monroe Center, Canadian folk song specialists John Bartlett and Rika Rubsat perform. It says here, their performances are characterized by their ability to get audiences singing lustily. Okay. Also musically tomorrow, pianist Andras Schiff is in Meany Theater at 8, playing Scarlatti and Schubert. Tomorrow night at 8, Sunday at 2, the fine Seattle Mime Theater here performs at the Jewish Community Center on Mercer Island as part of the center's Performing Arts Series. And finally, here's what's happening Sunday. This is Creeps, the fine play about 5 men with cerebral palsy at the Ethnic Theater. There's a signed performance for hearing-impaired folks Sunday night at 7. Same day, the Seattle Symphony performs Handel's Messiah in the Opera House at 3. The Paul Winter Consort presents the Missa Gaia at the University Christian Church at 7:30. And Tyke, which may be pronounced Taiki, actually may be pronounced Ticonderoga for all I know, as a celebration of old country life, music of early 16th and 17th century England and Italy at 8 in the University Unitarian Church. That's what's happening this weekend. I'm Greg Palmer.
Briefly recapping some of the hour's top stories, world's first artificial heart recipient, Barney Clark's doing very nicely following the historic operation. Our man in Salt Lake City, Aaron Brown, reports Clark's been conscious at times and has written notes to nurses. Outgoing director of the Washington Public Power Supply System, Robert Ferguson, says the next 6 months will determine whether Whoops goes broke or finishes at least 3 nuclear power plants. At least 6 people are dead, 35 injured from tornadoes that tore through parts of Arkansas and Illinois. Time for a traffic update. Here's Sarah Johnson with a look at how things are shaping up around the city this morning.
The Hood Canal Bridge is temporarily closed this morning because of high winds. The rain is pouring in Seattle. There's very heavy traffic on southbound 405 through Coal Creek and the S-curves on both the west side bridges, on both the floating bridges. The backups are incredible in volume this morning. And on southbound I-5 between 236 and Snohomish County all the way to Northgate, you're going to find it's bumper to bumper. Sarah Johnson, News King, Sky Twin Traffic.
Here are some of the stories we're going to be following today. Of course, we'll continue to monitor the progress of the world's first artificial heart transplant patient. Aircraft carrier Constellation arrives in Bremerton. State officials meet in Olympia to discuss the state's next lottery and the one after that and the one after that. We'll have a report on a child abuse workshop, and we'll check in on a special Goodwill teddy bear sale. Important stuff, all the news tonight at 5. Final check on our weather now. Tidal flood warning this morning. Water will be 1.5 feet above the normal high tide, which occurs in about 20 minutes. Rain chance through the day, 100%. Highs in the mid-50s. Southerly winds 15 to 30 and gusty. 90% chance of rain tonight. Lows in the lower 40s. Tomorrow, decreasing showers. Highs near 50 degrees. Right now, we've got 56 degrees, cloudy, rain, wind is from the south at 22, gusting at times up to 34 miles per hour. Relative humidity is 83%, the barometer on the rise from 29.54 inches. If you're planning a trip to the slopes, be prepared for some rain this weekend. It's raining at all the major ski areas right now. At Alpental, you'll find a 40-inch base. Crystal Mountain has 14 inches with 36 at Green Valley. Mission Ridge, 26. Mount Baker has 65. Pacific West, 29 inches. Ski Acres, Snoqualmie Summit, a 40-inch base there. At Stevens Pass, you'll find 36 inches, and at White Pass, 27 inches. And they're skiing at all the ski areas today. Night skiing at Alpental, Mission Ridge, Pacific West, Ski Acres, Snoqualmie Summit, and Stevens Pass. And that's it. Got a scoot. Thanks for joining us.
Shop Frederick & Nelson first for Star Holiday Savings, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. this Saturday. 12 value-packed hours with savings throughout the store. Save on women's apparel, sportswear and accessories, pizzazz, menswear, china, cookware, luggage, and much, much more. With only 3 Saturdays till Christmas, you'll want to Star this Saturday to shop Frederick & Nelson first. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Star Holiday Savings store-wide. This Saturday at all Frederick & Nelson stores.
Here's a wonderful home gift idea from Levitt's greatest Christmas sale. A colorful choice of recliners for only $197. The Berkline rocker recliners rock, recline, and come in blue, rust, cocoa, camel, and chocolate acrylic velvet. The wall snuggler by Strata Lounger fully reclines, yet stays within inches of the wall, and comes in rust, beige, or brown nylon velvet. Take your pick. 2 smart styles, 8 rich colors. Only $197 now at Levitt's.
Enter file name. File ready. 5-day camera, Seattle, Bellevue, Kirkland. Sale item, Canon AE1. Canon's new generation. Computerized exposure. Sale price, $178.88 with Canon 50mm lens. Alert! Canon sale terminates Saturday. Canon AE1. Rugged, versatile, professional. Sale price, $178.88. Alert! Canon sale terminates Saturday. Are you leaving me turned on?
Datsun interest rates decline. I got a truck for 9.9.
Nissan Motor Corporation announces 9.9 annual percentage rate financing on any new Datsun truck. The lowest financing from any manufacturer. 9.9 can save $1,100 to over $1,800 in finance charges on any Datsun truck.
Datsun 9.9 is doing just fine.
Hurry, it's available for a limited time only.
See all the exciting new Datsun cars and trucks at your gold medal Western Washington Datsun dealer and save.
On King 5, watch Here's Lucy, today at 3.
Good morning. This is Today. It's a Friday, December 3rd, and you're